Hi friends, today we are taking a look at an ergo option that is not from Pulsar, Zowie or Razer. Instead we have here the Waizowl OGM Pro, which Mekis graciously sent me for review. Thanks for that. The shape is probably the most interesting thing with this mouse, so let's start with that. It is a small to medium sized ergo shape, but with slightly less aggressive ergonomic grooves than on the Pulsar X-Lite V2 and the Zowie EC series for example, and the sideways tilt to the right is very subtle, but when looking at the front we can see the other side is around 1mm higher than the other, so it is still slightly tilted. On the left side here there is no significant thumb groove, but instead they have this nice slope for your thumb to sit, and on the left they have nice outwards groove that supports your pinky knuckle very nicely, very similarly to the Vaxi MP0 and MP0S. The shape might look a bit blocky at first, but the in-hand feeling is surprisingly comfortable for relaxed clawing and palm gripping. Also the top right side is very flat, so there is plenty of room for your pinky and ring finger to sit at. I love to see these unique shapes coming to the market, and this mouse has a very good unique ergo shape in my opinion. The build quality is also very nice on this mouse, and there is no significant flexing or creaking. I can hear some occasional creaks when pressing from the sides very hard, but it is not noticeable in use. The main buttons are also very rigid, without any annoying sideways wobble happening, and the coating is also pretty nice and feels very similar to that of the G Pro Superlight. It is a matte finish with a tiny bit of shine and provides great grip, at least for my skin type. Skates were okay on this mouse for the most part, and the front and back skates were nicely thick and their edges were rounded, but the sensor ring skate on the other hand was terrible. It was really thick with sharp edges, and I could hear and feel it scraping on the mousepad constantly. So if you use the stock skates, maybe take off the sensor ring skate for better experience. The weight at 71 grams is something that will probably alarm some potential buyers, but I personally did not have any problems with the weight. But there is definitely something they could do about the weight balancing of the mouse. When first picking up the mouse, it was very apparent that the weight balancing was kinda off and it felt very right side heavy, so I decided to take this mouse apart and see what was the main cause for this. And yeah, for some reason they had installed a battery to the right side of the base, and fixing it with double-sided tape to the middle fixed the issue for me. I also checked if I could save some weight with a smaller battery, but the connector my extra batteries have were no match, and the stock battery was also quite light, so I just went with the original one. I also removed the magnet thingy that the dongle holder was using, and then removed the bottom sticker as well for that extra 0.1 grams weight reduction. I don't know, I just let my inner mouse mother a bit loose there. But the final weight of the mouse is now 67 grams and the weight balancing feels very good. I checked from Twitter that Waizowl has acknowledged this issue and have made promises to fix the weight balancing in future releases. As the main buttons, the mouse uses TTC Gold switches rated at 80 million clicks, and as the encoder, the TTC Gold is used as well. The main switches feel great. They are pretty light to actuate, and the pre and post travel are pretty minimal. The scroll wheel on the other hand is a bit loose feeling, and it can move sideways pretty easily. It works in games, but I fear it will develop some issues with heavy use, so I'd like to see them do some slight adjustments to this as well. Maybe a TTC Silver encoder instead of the gold one, and then some sideways support to the wheel so it stays in place better. There is also a DPI button with a nice sleek LED design on top. The LED lights up after clicking, indicating the DPI stage you are on. The side buttons feel also pretty rigid. They are spammable and positioned quite nicely, so no complaints here. The wireless performance is also great on this mouse. They are using the Pixar 3395 sensor together with the Nordic MCU, and it seems that they have made their own firmware compared to other manufacturers who just slap a reskinned Comp X firmware to their mice. There are two different firmwares available for this mouse, a standard and a competitive one, and naturally I have just used the competitive version. Upgrading to the comp firmware was a bit of a hassle because there were no instructions provided with the updater. The way you are supposed to do this is download the driver software, plug in your mouse with the cable, and at the same time plug in your dongle to your PC, then start the updater. If you don't do this way, the updater will stop at 43% and it won't say any errors or warnings, but it just won't complete the process. And then to close the program, you need to force it to stop from the task manager, and then your mouse won't work. But to fix this, just do it the correct way and start the program with another mouse. With the competitive firmware, with motion sync enabled, I could measure around 0.7 milliseconds more motion delay compared to my control unit. But without motion sync, the motion delay is just around 0.1 milliseconds more than my control unit, which is very good for a 1K polling rate mice. My guess is that the competitive firmware used the coded mode of the Pixar 3395 sensor to get these very low motion delay results. Polling rate seems also fairly stable, a few kinks on the graph without motion sync, but it's nothing alarming. But all in all, I quite enjoy using this mouse, even though there are some improvements I'd like to see for the future releases. It is a very well performing ergo mouse, and it's kinda sad that this mouse kinda just stays unnoticed. Waizowl has made a great first release, and I can't wait to see what they come up next. This mouse is available on MechKeys for $99, and on Max Gaming it's usually on sale for around 70 euros. And for that price, it basically competes with only the Pulsar X-Lite V2 Mini in the category of ergo shapes, and performance wise it beats that in my opinion. It's true that the X-Lite V2 Mini is lighter and has a good weight balancing out of the box, but if you're looking for just a tad bigger ergo mouse and don't want to spend your money on Zowi's wireless EC3C or EC2C, this is a good option. But that's about it. Goodbye.